So now I'm going to go to the 3-3 guided notes and work the long division examples. So we've did the intro to long division. I did that a second ago in a previous video and worked these two questions. Now I'm actually going to do these other problems, divide these using long division. All right, so one of the things that can happen is when you're trying to set it up, you have to watch for whether you need any placeholders. You also have to be careful about writing things in the correct order. It should be in descending order. The terms should be in descending order by degree. So the first term should really be 4x squared, and it has a positive in front. Then the 8x is negative, so minus 8x, and then plus 6. So you got to rearrange those terms. All right, so now I'm going to do that division process. So I'm going to take the 4x squared divided by the 2x. That would simplify to be 2x, wouldn't it? One of those x's would cancel, and 2 goes into 4 twice. Now I'm going to multiply back and take the 2x times the 2x minus 1. So I'll distribute and get 4x squared minus 2x. And that would be written right here, lining those terms up with their like terms. Now I'm ready to do that tricky step where you have to subtract. So I recommend you subtract by changing the signs, and then you can add the integers. So a 4x squared and a negative 4x squared would combine to be 0. And then a negative 8x and a positive 2x would be a negative 6x. Negative 6x right there. Right? At that point, I'm ready to bring down the next term, and then I'm going to do that process again. So I'm going to take the negative 6x this time and divide it by positive 2x. 2 goes into negative 6, negative 3 times. The x's would cancel out. Oh, I forgot to write the 2x. When I did that and I got the 2x, I should have written it there on top of the division bar. Then I would have done the multiplying, the subtracting, and gotten my remainder. Now I'm doing the negative 6x divided by 2x, and I get a negative 3. That would go right here. Okay, that means that'll be the last round that I'll have to do. All right, and then I'm going to take the negative 3 and multiply it back by the entire 2x minus 1. That's going to be negative 6x plus 3. So I'm going to jot that down. Then I'm going to subtract by changing the signs. Okay, and then I can add those integers. A negative 6 and a positive 6 would cancel out. So negative 6x, positive 6x would be 0. And then a positive 6 and a negative 3 would add up to be positive 3. All right, so then I need to write my answer in the form quotient plus remainder over divisor. Okay, so my answer is going to be 2x minus 3, that's the quotient, plus the remainder 3 over the divisor, 2x minus 1. So the remainder didn't turn out to be 0. So that means 2x minus 1 was not a factor. It didn't go into 4x squared minus 8x plus 6 evenly. Okay. All right, now let's try problem number 3. Now with question number 3, I really could do this one using synthetic division, but we're working on learning the long division approach. So I'm going to take the x minus 3 and divide it into this. Make sure they're in order. And if there were any missing terms, you'd need to put in a 0, but there just aren't any missing terms. So the first thing I'm going to do is x to the third divided by x, which would be x squared. And then I'm going to take, so that's going to go here. And then I'm going to take that x squared and multiply it by x minus 3 and get an x to the third minus 3x squared. So I'll jot that down, lining it up underneath those like terms. The tricky step is the subtraction step. I recommend you change the signs and then add straight down so that x to the third and the negative x to the third cancels out, but here we have an 8x squared. Okay, at that point, I'm going to bring down the next term, and I'm going to go again. So now I'm going to be taking the 8x squared and dividing it by x. So one of the x's cancels, and I'll have an 8x left. And I need to take that 8x and multiply it in a moment. So I got an 8x when I did the division step. Now I'm multiplying back, and I'm going to get an 8x squared, positive 8x squared, minus 24x. So I'm going to line that up right here. And then before I do my subtraction, I like to change my signs, and then I can add straight down. So the 8x squared, negative 8x squared cancels, and a negative 5 and a positive 24, that's going to turn out to be 19x. If you make a mistake, it's usually where these subtraction, when you do that subtraction step. So you have to be so careful about that. All right, at that point, I'm ready to just bring down my next number. Okay, and then I'll go again. So now I'm going to be taking the 19x, dividing it by x, and getting just 19. I'm at the end of the division bar. I've got my constant, so I know that's going to be the last round of this I need to do. When I distribute, I get a 19x, and 3 times 19 would be 57. So 19x minus 57. So that goes right here, 19x minus 57. And now I'm going to do the subtraction step. So I'm going to change those signs, and then 57 is positive and 6 is positive, so that would be 63 at that point. Okay. All right, so I'm done because 63 is lower in degree than what I was dividing by. There's no x's left anymore. So I'm ready to write my answer, and my answer is going to be the x squared, the quotient, x squared plus 8x plus 19, and then plus 63 over the divisor. So that would be your answer. Okay, and that one could have been done using synthetic because this factor was just x minus 3 and the x is to the first power.